Hi, I don't know uh, how long this is going to be. It'll be a little longer. I didn't plan any of the stuff I did today. By the way, if you followed any of it, some of the stuff I had ideas for before, and then I just decided as I was walking around downtown where it's going to execute it. And well, the reason I did all that is because when I was homeless, I lived downtown and I street perform. I write music. That's how I make money right now because I can't work because of mental health and some physical issues. Um, so I know downtown pretty well. I've been in and out of the business, and I just observed a lot of things. Um, not just downtown, but in Norfolk in general. But I'm very familiar with downtown. Uh, so with that being said, I wanted to um, talk about Yahweh. If you don't know who Yahweh is, that is the name that Moses was given as as God's name, uh, supposedly, in the burning bush. Uh, Supposedly, God was in the burning bush, and He said His name was Yahweh, which means I am that I am. There's different translations. Um, However, you're not going to see Yahweh in the Bible for the most part because they translate it either God or Lord or the Lord or different things like that. Um, there's other words that they use, like the word Elohim is actually plural. It gets translated as singular. It'll just get translated as God, capital God. But that's not an accurate translation at all. Um, you know, um, God has a government and a king just like we do. And he has officers and governors and officials and different like that. And those were called Elohim. We called them gods, but Elohim just means ruler. Okay. It doesn't have to be um, supernatural. In fact, I got to look up the guy's name, but he's Marsilius. And I think he was writing in the 3rd century or something, but he was writing about how um, the gods were very real. And the temples that they were built for walking uh, people. Um, I wouldn't call them humans, but they're people. Um, we came from them. Essentially, we share a lot of our genetic information. At least that's why I believe. Just kind of based on knowledge I've learned from old ancient texts, which I just love. I don't know why, but I'm going to briefly read Exodus chapter 21. I'm not going to give any commentary on it. I'm not going to read the whole chapter, but you can. I'm not trying to take things out of context. You can follow along. All right. So here we go. So, this is Yahweh speaking. Now, these are the rules that you shall set before them. When you buy a Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years, and in the 7th he shall go free for nothing. I guess seems fair. I don't know. And back in the day, they called them slaves or servants. It's still messed up, you know. But it was actually kind of a way. The way they had it set up, it was kind of actually a way to get yourself established. It was almost a like an internship or something, but you were paid room and board, and you got this, sit at the master's table and all that. I still don't believe in slavery, obviously. Men are born free and should stay free unless we have good reason otherwise. But anyway, damn it, I said I was going to give commentary. I'm sorry. Anyway, if he comes in single, he shall go out single. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with them married. Okay. If his master gives him a wife and she bears him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out alone. Holy crap. Let me read that again. if his master gives him a wife and she bears him sons and yeah, I don't like that at all. Okay, I'm sorry, that's messed up. But if the slave plainly says, "I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free," then his master shall bring him to God, and he shall bring him to the door or the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall be a slave forever. I've read this before, but I didn't look at the details. All right, let's go on. When a man, okay, this is in the Bible, right? Or the more accurately, the Pentateuch, which is the first 5 books of the Bible. The rest are completely separate books written by different people at different times. Keep that in mind because that's important. When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. If she does not please her master, who has designated her for himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. He shall have no right to sell her to foreign people, since he has broken faith with her. I mean, if you're going to sell, it's like, well, if you're going to sell your daughters into sexual slavery, at least do it right. This is what I'm reading. This is essentially what I'm reading. That's enough of that. Anyway, my point is, a lot of the people, I contend that the God of the Old Testament, more specifically, no, the God of the Pentateuch, really, in Exodus, in Genesis, who's named Yahweh, is not one. He's not Jesus, pre-incarnate, before he became human, and he's not the Father. And the main reason I said, well, there's a lot of reasons, but think of this, all right? And you can go and read Paul about the law passing away and not observing feast days. It doesn't matter, right? If Yahweh, let's say it was Jesus, or the Father, the true God, then why would Jesus come and then undo everything he did? And a lot of people don't know this, but when Jesus came to this world, he was tempted by the Satan, right? Or the devil, whatever you want to call him, the adversary. And he shows him all the kingdoms of the world. Probably in some sort of vision he's been hallucinating. He's been fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. And he says, basically all of this world has been given to me, and I will give it to you if you will bow down and worship me. And growing up in church, I was like, wait a minute, what? He's lying. That's not his stuff. That's God's stuff, right? But he said it all belongs to him. It's right, because he is the God of this world. Satan is the God of this world. Jesus said it plainly himself. And you ask the Jews who is the God of this world, they would say the name, because they don't say Yahweh, but they mean Yahweh, right? And there would be no confusion who Yahweh is. But when Jesus was talking to the Pharisees, he said, your father is the devil, and you do what your father desires to do. He was a liar and murderer from the beginning. You can go read it. Anyway, if Jesus was Yahweh, well, no, scratch that. If Yahweh was the father of Yeshua, he would never have said that in a million years. He would never have said the Pharisees are the devil. And I don't want to hear, oh, it's because he just had religion. Bullcrap. They followed their stuff to a T. I mean, there was definitely hypocrisy, and that was addressed by the prophets, not the law, but addressed by the prophets in the Old Testament. However, I mean, it's if you say things like, the Bible is the Word of God. This is Holy Bible, which I'm fine with. Holy means like set apart. So I think this collection of books is set apart and unique for different reasons and everything. All right, but like, okay, so take the Bible. The Pentateuch is 5 books. The Jews read that. That's the only. I think that's the only thing that they absolutely do read. They read other stuff, but they absolutely read the Pentateuch. They definitely read the prophets, but the Pentateuch is like their thing. But no, it's just clear. There's a guy named Israel Anderson. You can look it up. He has a video called Two Garden Snakes, and he says at the end of the book of Revelation, man is back to the garden. He has access to the tree of life, and he now has physical immortality, which is the exact opposite thing that Yahweh did in Genesis. He makes man. He wants them to remain ignorant, right? And when he comes back, he said, "Who told you were naked?" Wait a minute. Why were they naked in the first place? Okay. Like, think about this in real life. Say you clone some humans. You put them in a garden temple complex, because that's what this was. It was garden temple complex in the high places and mountainous regions. A lot of people actually think it's good deadly tepidly, but I'm not sure. But no, say you clone 2 humans and you kept them in this complex, but you never clothed them, and you never wanted them to know that they were naked. You never wanted them to be self-aware. You never wanted them to know for good for evil. And let's say they somehow managed that, and then you kicked them out and basically condemned them to death, and not only that, you cursed them on the way out. And then you have the story of Cain and Abel, right? And at the end of it, Cain kills his brother. Yahweh first curses Cain, and then Cain says, "This is too much for me to bear." And then he put a mark on him, which is actually a brand. He branded him. They do this throughout. Yahweh did this all the time. He branded people. They would call it numbered. But anyway. And he said, if anyone comes against you, they'll be repaid sevenfold or something. I got to go back and read. But you know what he did? Okay, if you take this literally, like Adam and Eve were the first people, then Yahweh basically saying that he rewarded the first murderer. Actually, the second murderer, because he was the first one. Anyway, but you know what I'm saying? He rewarded the first murderer. Like, oh my gosh. Anyway, I think that's enough. It's like almost 13 minutes. Bye.